Everyone. Today, as we wait for don't mind the people that's coming to the waiting room, we'll just begin the lecture first. So I think today we'll start with a conversation because last week we learned about many things. We learned about presentation skills and we learned about how to plan programs, right? So like this week, we're gonna learn about team building and management as well as facilitation skills. So why are we talking about teams? Because basically teams exist everywhere. You can think of you and your classmates in project work. As an NCO, you're going to be working in teams with your platoon mates, and you build teams within your juniors. So last week we learned about all these technical things, right? How to plan programs, how to present information. But this week is a bit more interesting to me personally as a lecturer because this week we're learning about connections with people directly with talking a lot about the physical interactions that we so dearly like nowadays because of COVID-19. This week we will learn about how as leaders we can gather a bunch of strangers and build a strong team together with them. Okay, so let me begin my lecture. All right. So I don't want to bore you with the nitty-gritties. So let me just briefly cover the objectives of my lecture today. We're learning this thing called the Tuckman's model of team development. And at each stage of the team development, we will look at how the role of the leader and the role of the members will change. Then we'll also look at how we can resolve conflicts when they arise in our teams. So Tuckman model, what actually is this model about? So here are the 4 stages of the model. In order, they are forming, storming, norming, and performing. So you can see on the graph on the right, it's a graph of team effectiveness plotted against time. So at forming, as the name suggests, the team forms. Then at storming, clouds, lightning, conflict. Okay, conflict and team effectiveness drops. And then at norming, as the team is finding balance, a new norm is being reached, so the team effectiveness rises. As performing suggests, the team performs, right? So fairly easy to understand. So if you're confused by the adjourning beat at the last part of the graph, adjourning is basically like when your team dissolves. So think of when your group project is like your presentation is done, now the team can dissolve, or when your NCO ship ends, something like that. But of course, as old teams dissolve, new teams form, right? So we're constantly learning about how we can better develop our teams. Okay, so here are some indicators of an effective team. I would like you to take notes for this slide because it's important. So as an effective team trusts one another, an effective team is also committed to the same goals. An effective team involves good communication and everybody is ideally doing something he's good at. Lastly, accountability. So meaning you're working hard, not just for yourself, but for the team. And you want to do your job well because it concerns everybody and everybody helps one another if they're struggling in their job. So it's not like, okay, that's your job, go and just do your job. I'm gonna do mine. If your teammate is struggling, you help him, and vice versa. If you're struggling, your teammate will be helping you. So I'll just leave the slide here for maybe a minute so y'all can note down anything that y'all find important. Everyone good? Everyone good? Just give me a thumbs up sign maybe so I can see that you're good. Okay, I see a few thumbs ups. Okay, I'm just gonna continue. All right, so next. So there are actually many videos on YouTube that demonstrate to you this Tuckman's model in real life and movie examples as well. So for example, the Avengers one, you can just search on Tuckman model Avengers, it'll pop out. For today, we're gonna watch a short film called Remember the Titans. It's a rugby movie. Anyone watches or plays rugby? Are any rugby fans here? Can you raise your hand? No? No? Anyways, we're gonna watch this short film today. But before that though, let's first do a small activity. So This activity is called the Scavenger Hunt. Let me explain this activity briefly to you. So cadets are, all of you are in your groups, right, your teams, and there's approximately 10 or more people inside. So your facilitators will provide you with a list of items with the same number of people that you have in your team. And in this team, everyone can only contribute one item. So completion is only possible if all of you work together and bring your item to the table or to the screen, literally. And you have 3 minutes to complete the task. So before I bring you guys out into your breakout rooms, let me just remind you that you have only 3 minutes. So if you're gonna be shy, that's just gonna cut your time. So once your timer starts running, it'd be ideal if you guys start working. Okay, I'm gonna open the rooms now. Then we go to team 19. They start with
Hi guys.
Scavenger Hunt. Hold on, let me just. Could you rename yourself first?
Okay. Apart from sharing their opinion, how do you think that person can you have any plans? Wow.
Hey James, can you help me to rename yourself to include your team number? Then I'll assign you to a breakout room.
Boyfriend,
Okay, welcome back everyone. I hope the activity was fun. So now let's look at the first stage of Startman's model. It is the forming stage. So this is the get-together stage of team development. So you can see in this picture, these few farmers have gotten together to work on a garden. So note this down, by the way, important points. So at this phase, everybody in the team might know one another, or they might not. They could be complete strangers. Either way, it's a new team, so everyone's feeling a bit uncomfortable at this stage, and they're settling down into their new roles. There might be a bit of uncertainty because of that, because that the roles and responsibilities are unclear. Maybe they're still thinking, they're still figuring out who's the leader and who are the members. So think of yourself when you first joined St. John, or yourself during school orientation or camps. Think of your seniors in St. John, think of your orientation group leaders. Were you dependent on them for instructions? Maybe I'll call someone to answer this. Okay, the first person on my screen. Sorry. Maybe Qi Shen from Bukit Panjang Government High.
I'm so sorry. My computer was lagging just now. What do you ask?
Okay. So I give a scenario. So like think back about your school orientation, or maybe when you first joined St. John. How do you feel as a secondary one?
Anxious.
Anxious. How about your seniors and orientation group leaders? How did they like feel like to you?
They kept hyping us up.
They kept helping you out. So I think that would be somewhat instruction giving, but because it's first joining St. John, or because it's orientation, it's not exactly like fierce instruction. It's like, hey, like let's do cheers, let's do this, let's do that. So generally we're dependent on them for instructions, right? Okay, thank you, Sishan. Okay, so hold on to your notebooks, and now we're gonna watch the movie or a short film. Okay. Give me a while. Okay, so think about who is the leader here and who are the team members.
Tony, you're not sharing your audio.
Sorry about that. Let me adjust this. Okay, we'll go back. Okay, so that was the RIP years. I mean, y'all could have adjusted the sound volume, honestly. So yeah, that was the short clip. The movie is pretty interesting. You guys can check it out if you are interested in it. But now let's get back to our agenda for today. All right, so let's take some time to think about these questions again. So what are some important traits of the leader now at this stage? And so largely this is the same concept as the previous stage norming. So performing the leader takes a step further backwards and gives the team more space to let them perform, because at this stage, they already know what they're doing and they're good at what they're doing. So like honestly, if you look at what Coach Boone is doing, he's simply changing the strategy, or like changing a role, like subbing in players. But he doesn't tell them like, hey, you need to do this or you need to do that. He just lets them carry out the plays by themselves. So we could relate this back to a St. John context, where like if you are an NCO and given your platoon 3 squad, is getting ready to take over you as leaders, or if you guys become platoon 3 members and your NCOs are gonna leave the corps soon, as you're gonna take over, I suppose your NCOs wouldn't be still telling you guys like, okay, like you need to like do this, you need to do that, but they'll like give time for you to like figure out like how you want to like lead the platoon in your own way. So instead of like being very dominant and controlling about how you must do things, versus like maybe like let's say in Sec 1 when you first enter the CCA, or when you first enter our orientation camp, like the feeling you felt, anxious, and how your group leaders like told you how to do everything. But at platoon 3 level, maybe they won't need to tell you how to do this or that. They'll simply be like, okay, you have like 1 hour, plan the training, go, right? Okay. So now, let's do a fun activity again, Scavenger Hunt Part 2. So now, just like just now, you're still in your same groups, and the facilitator will provide you with a new list, right? And now, same rules, 3 minutes, everyone has to contribute 1 item to the task. And I hope that since this is your second time doing it, you guys can be faster and smoother at doing the execution. Right, breakout room starts now. See you.
Hello.
Hello. Nice. You made it.
How's it going?
Going well.
I haven't eaten dinner yet. I'm bloody hungry.
I ate breakfast. Time difference is real.
I'm not gonna
well.
join. I'm gonna eat.
Okay. Check.
How long more are you left with the lecture?
About I can finish before 10, like 9:50.
Okay.
Yeah.
9:50 is it? Have they had a break yet?
Our challenge.
No. I can give after that.
You remember?
Okay lah, then by 9:50, just give until 10. No? Yeah. I need some time to eat also. I'm bloody hungry.
Okay.
Okay, remember our strategy from just
Okay, I'm going to join my own breakout room. What number am I? 7. The one is Estelle.
I forgot. I think.
I'm going to check.
okay. I will send you that.
Yeah. Okay, I'll sign you.
Hold on. Okay, I will send you guys. Okay.
Hi guys, so I understand that some of the facilitators didn't manage to wrap up the debrief. So I'll just quickly send you guys back to the debrief rooms to wrap up that session before we come back again.
How long?
I'll say lor.
Okay.
Tony, you are muted.
I'm sorry. Welcome back everyone. I hope that was a fun round 2 of the activity. This is only a first taste of teamwork between you guys, but I think you can still see a slight difference between the first round of the Scavenger Hunt versus the second. And as an NCO, like we're gonna have to work with new teams all the time, right? Be it whether or not you're the platoon commander, you will have to interact with your juniors. So like personally, I remember like I was a platoon 3 commander when I was back in St. John, and I was like super nervous for my first role. But like I guess that's also the beauty of it. We're not always ready, but as leaders, we have to like step up the role, fill the shoes, and help to facilitate the bonding of this group of young people to become a team, right? So that brings us to our first learning point. The stages of team development show what the team needs from the leader at each point in time, and what you as the leader can do to help the team. So this involves adjusting your leadership styles, as we've seen throughout like the video just now, in Coach Boon's actions and behavior. And sometimes more than one style can be applicable to a situation. Right, so you can use this Tuckman's model as a useful reference to sort of see like how you should change to better facilitate your team in bonding and getting better. Okay, so before I carry on to the next part, maybe you can just take a 5 minutes break. We can get back at 9:55. Then at 9:55, I'll carry on to the next mini part of the lecture. Yep. All right, I see some of you guys are already back at your seats. I take it as a good sign. Maybe you're feeling energetic today. We only have like a little part left with the lecture, so just bear with me. Give me your best effort and we'll finish this fast. For your friends who are still taking breaks, you can maybe text your platoon groups to tell them to come back to your seats soon, because we're gonna start sharp at 9:55. That's 1 more minute from now. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so it's 9:55. I'm gonna get back to the lecture. So, as you recall just now,
There's nobody calling right now.
oh my god, Siri. Sorry for that. Anyways, as we recall just now, there are 4 stages of team development that we learned. So which of these stages do teams struggle at the most? This is just a mini test. Does anyone recall? You can just type it in the chat.
Storming.
Storming, nice. Okay, that was a fast response. So storming, so because everyone wants to be right at this point, right? So what do we as leaders need when our team is in deep conflict right now? Everyone is fighting, everyone's yelling at each other. We need conflict management, right? This is how we're gonna manage conflicts. So just a recap on what causes conflicts: personal and emotional issues, struggles between power dynamics in the team, like who wants to be a leader, who wants to be a follower, and like your communication just utterly melts, just breaks down. So let's play a small activity now. I will be flashing a series of images on the screen, and you type in the chat box the first emotion you feel as you see the image, that instantaneous emotion. So what are emotions? They can be anything you feel, like happiness, sadness, surprise, fear, shock, disgust. It can even be numbness. Okay, you ready? Is your chat room open? All right, here we go. Wow, surprising amount of response for this one. Maybe this is the last one. All right, so let's now look at the chat room just to scroll through. Okay, so we can see that definitely, right? What are these? These are just static images. They're not even moving. They're just photos. And yet we have so many different responses to these photos, even if it's just a 2D picture. So imagine if this was 3D, this was actual people, places, situations. So what does this show us? Each team member brings to the table different contexts because we come from different places and different experiences. So for a team leader to help his team to move beyond this storming phase, you must first understand these differences and begin to bridge these differences so that you can bring everyone onto the same page. So I'll quickly run through the steps of conflict management now, which you might want to take down as well. So the first step is to acknowledge the conflict. It's easy for us to run away from problems, right? But that doesn't actually solve them. So we have to resolve immediate tensions as well. Like let's say if a fight is going to break out, your junior his fist is raised against another junior's face. You should probably stop that. But the step after that, after you resolve the tension is super important. You don't just laugh it off, but you must secure a commitment that everyone needs to agree that there is a problem here and that we will solve it together. So step 2, understand and communicate. So allow everyone the space to state their opinions. And then you sort these opinions into 3 things. Facts, meaning the things that are true. Like let's say, hey, I think the weather today is too hot, so it's unconducive for foot drill. That's a fact, right? The weather is hot. You can't deny that. Second, assumptions. Like if I say, I think the cadets don't want to do foot drill. Like, do you know that for a fact, or is that an assumption? That's an assumption. Lastly, beliefs. So personal beliefs, like if one of your NC or team members say, hey, I think foot drill is just a waste of time. That is what he personally thinks, right? So sort it into these 3 things: facts. By the way, I don't believe that foot drill is a waste of time, but it's just an example. Anyways, so we sort it into facts, assumption, and beliefs, so that we can better understand like where each of us are coming from and what are like actual truths and what are like things we need to clarify further. Then lastly, get into small groups. So let's say this room of 20 people are arguing and fighting. We can't be on the same page. What do? Split them into 4 groups of 5, maybe. So instead of trying to convince 19 other people that you are right, now I just need to argue with 4 other people. Hey, that's much easier. So that allows us to agree faster in our little groups. And once you have your little groups, there are only 4 groups, right? These 4 groups can just come together afterwards to talk again as 20 people. So that's actually step 3. We reach an agreement. We regroup, and we also come up with a plan of what exactly we should do. Notice the stress on exactly. So let's say we want to up Platoon 1's fitness standards. That's really vague. You can't just put it out there like, okay, train the fitness. How are you gonna do it? Maybe 2 hours of physical training in a week. So 2 hours weekly. These are like SMART goals, right? You all learned that before in your program planning. I can even specify the exercises. In these 2 hours, make it 1 hour of running and 1 hour of muscle strengthening. I can even specify that even further. What are muscle strengthening? Maybe I can make up a list, push-ups, squats, whichever. This makes things really clear instead of just saying, let's make Platoon 1 fitter. So lastly, a plan is nothing if we don't follow it. So check that the plan is being kept to as a leader. Check that your team members are actually following to whatever you agreed on. For example, in my previous example, the Platoon 1 is getting 2 hours of exercise a week. And if your Platoon 1 commanders are doing those exercises regularly, they're keeping the plan, remember to praise them, acknowledge their success. Tell them, hey, you're doing your job right. Give your training head a well done, a clap on the back for helping out with the workout planning. Give your logistic IC a clap on the back for booking the venues to allow for this to happen. We all like to be praised, right? It assures us that we're going in the right track. So as a leader, look out for who is make sure we are keeping to the plan. And when your members are doing so, make sure to acknowledge them and praise them. Maybe you can give me a thumbs up if you like the lecture so far. Okay, so this is the sort of last activity. Okay, this is not a real activity. Just read the scenario and try to apply what we just learned about resolving conflicts. Okay, you don't have to respond immediately because this question itself is in the lecture quiz. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to send the lecture quiz on the chat. And don't worry, it's just a very short and simple quiz. You really won't take more than 3 minutes to finish it. This is probably the longest question.